For hundreds of Swedish immigrants in Duneland, the opportunity to own land and build their own farm was the biggest draw to this area. But for others, the budding communities of Chesterton and Porter were business opportunities waiting to be had. Whether as grocers or butchers, fishermen or factory owners, much of Chesterton's and Porter's economic success rested on the shoulders of its Swedish immigrant businesses. Although many of the earliest local Swedes were farmers, new Swedish immigrants arrived after the Civil War and established businesses. According to Ken Schoon, most of Chesterton's stores were Swedish-owned by 1900. Swedish-born business owners in Chesterton included C.O. Hillstrom, H.F. Carlson, Emil Anderson, Albert Swanson, and many more. In Porter, the Andersons, Pillmans, Carlsons, and Wistrands also operated successful businesses. Even in the mid and late 1900s, Swedish heritage or Swedish-owned businesses dotted the landscape, including Smedmans, Anderson Orchards, George Anderson Insurance, Videll Coal and Supply Yard, and Linderman Nursery. But today, we are going to highlight three very different Swedish-owned businesses in Porter and Chesterton that survived for decades but are no longer around. Before big grocery store chains, several dry goods and grocery stores existed in each town, each owned by a different family. Peter Håkansson and his son Victor established a butcher shop, P. Håkansson & Son, in Porter in 1901. Peter had come to Porter in 1890 and worked as a blacksmith for the brickyards. Victor, however, got into the butcher business at a young age and opened Håkansson & Michael's meat market before opening the store with his dad. 3 generations of Håkanssons worked and ran P. Håkansson & Son, which became Porter's first self-service grocery store in 1943. Sometimes the direction a business takes changes unexpectedly. For the Johnson family, it was a successful change. Although access to the lakefront wasn't easy before paved roads, Swedish immigrant John Peter Johnson, later known as Fish Johnson, determined to try his hand at commercial fishing, first at what is now Porter Beach, then at Waverly Beach, near the mouth of Dunes Creek. The business was a real family endeavor, as Johnson's cousin and sons all contributed. Eventually, the business grew to include a restaurant, grocery store, guest house, bathing suit rentals, and more. Johnson died in 1925, but his sons Will and Elmer continued the business, moved to Porter Beach after the state park opened, and built a 3-story hotel and restaurant in 1930. The Johnsons paved the road around the business and brought electricity to their buildings. The area became known as Johnson's Beach and was considered the most popular hangout for teenagers. Although we may find the combination odd today, in the late 1800s it was common for an undertaker to also deal in furniture. After all, if someone could build a table, they could likely build a coffin too. J.B. Lundberg came to America from Sweden in 1852. After serving in the Civil War, he lived in Chicago and learned cabinet making. He came to Chesterton by 1868 and opened his own business. At first, he operated a factory that made spindles and broom handles. But in 1875, he opened J.B. Lundberg Furniture and Undertaking. He was Indiana's first licensed embalmer and owned 3 hearses. Lundberg took his role as a business and community leader seriously and served as township trustee and assessor. His son-in-law, Hallard Flynn, joined him in business, and it became the Flynn-Lundberg Company and later Flynn-Lundberg Johnson. Despite the ups and downs that many small towns experienced in the 19th and 20th centuries, the hard work and determination of Swedish immigrants helped Chesterton and Porter thrive. These old Swedish businesses no longer grace our streets, but their legacy helped build the communities that exist today.
Thank you for watching. Tune in next week for another video about Duneland's Swedish immigrants.